Hi, I'm Dr. Fred Becker, professor and department chair in the Hospitality Management program at York College. Thanks for joining me today as we discuss experiences in the hospitality and tourism industry. To be sure, the travel industry has had a difficult 2020. Overseas travel shutdowns, meeting cancellations have taken their toll. However, as the effects of COVID-19 subside, we may have reason to be optimistic that we can all travel again in 2021. The hospitality and travel business is one of the biggest and largest in the world. In 2019, travelers spent over $1.1 billion on travel in the United States. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to travel again. I can't wait to visit new places and have new experiences. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how the industry creates and delivers the memorable experiences that we look forward to. It doesn't happen by accident. The best travel experiences occur when operators combine the elements that I'm going to be talking to you about today. To get the best value and have the best experiences, you'll want to look for these elements, these aspects, when you search for your next travel experience. So let's get going. Do you remember your last vacation? Do you remember what you did, what you enjoyed? Do you remember the food you ate? Do you remember the plane ride, the hotel room you stayed in? Maybe the ride on Space Mountain? These are the things that you bought. They're the tourism product. But is hospitality and tourism just about serving food, about providing transportation, about providing travelers with a roof over their head? The hospitality and tourism industry has grown dramatically in the United States. We've become really good at delivering these products that we've been talking about, food and rooms. In fact, the hospitality and tourism industry has played an important role in the country, transitioning from an industrial economy where we made goods and products to one where we are a service economy, where we create and deliver services. However, today, it's not enough just to provide great products and services. More and more, today's travelers are looking for exciting, unique experiences, memorable experiences. Some even suggest that we're moving to an experience economy. The best and most successful hospitality operators will package their products and their services in such a way that they create these memorable experiences for travelers. Just like you, I'm interested in having those memorable travel experiences. So let's take a look at what hospitality and travel companies need to do to provide these memorable experiences so we can all be informed travelers. But first, a quick example. Is Disney World just an amusement park that has cool rides? No. Disney engages all of your senses. Disney engages all of your emotions. Everything at Disney is in character. Not just Goofy, not just Mickey, not just Pluto. Everything, the rides, the cast, the dining rooms, and the hotels. Everything at Disney is intended to immerse you in the Disney World experience. Everything is well orchestrated to create memories that last a lifetime. And they're created to want you to come back over and over again. High-quality travel experiences like Disney are produced by three things. The first one is product, second is service, and the third is the environment. When you combine these three things, hospitality and travel companies can create memorable experiences for the traveler. So let's take a look at these three elements of a quality travel experience. The first is product. This is what's for sale. This is what we experience. This is the tangible, physical aspect of the restaurant or hotel. When you sit down in a restaurant, was your food served hot? Did it taste good? Was your bed comfortable? Or was your pillow lumpy? Were the towels clean? Was the amusement ride safe? These are pretty basic things that all travel companies need to deliver, and they're basic things that travelers want and expect. Operators need to make sure that they are perfect every single time for every single guest. Obviously, if they fail to deliver on the product, it's sure to disappoint you and it's sure to disappoint me. Customers and guests aren't going to be happy if the product isn't right. The next aspect is service. This is the people part of the equation. Employees are the most important thing that travel companies have. They're on the front line. They're serving guests. They're creating moments of truth for you and me. They're delivering the products that the restaurant and hotel has to deliver. They're the front desk agents, the servers in the restaurants, the bartenders, the baristas in the coffee shops, the flight attendants on the airlines. People entertain us. People make us feel welcome. People make us feel at home. People deliver hospitality. Great hospitality and travel companies will pick the best employees to deliver their services. They're going to train them and develop them. And they're going to create a culture of service that motivates employees. The third aspect is the environment. This is the setting, the destination. The service-scape is an important part of the guest experience. Walt Disney World was a great example of an intentional service-scape. I'd like to offer a couple of other examples. One is Starbucks Roastering. Have you been to one of these places yet? They're amazing. They're located in major cities like New York City and Chicago. They're the ultimate coffee experience and so much more. They have handmade coffees roasted on site in front of you. They make artisan breads and baked goods. They have upscale food. They have signature cocktails and craft beers and fine wine to serve, all in a unique and a dynamic environment. Some have described it as coffee theater. Other examples of unique restaurant service-scapes include Hard Rock Cafes and Planet Hollywood. The next example is the fun ships of Carnival Cruise Lines. Are cruise ships just boats or ships that transport you from point A to point B? No, they are the destination. Today, we can enjoy all kinds of different experiences and activities on cruise ships. Maybe you've experienced them yourself. Laser tag, zip lines, escape rooms, nightclubs, skydiving, water slides, casinos, and Broadway shows, just to name a few of the activities that are offered in today's modern cruise ship. The cruise ship is the service-scape that creates the guest experience. The hotel industry has also come up with many unique service-scapes as well. One example near us is called the Cartoon Network Hotel in nearby Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This unique hotel has decor and has created an environment that reflects the themes of the Cartoon Network shows, your kids' favorite Cartoon Network shows. What a fun place for families to create new experiences and to create new memories. Many hotel companies have also developed boutique hotels that reflect the cities and neighborhoods that they exist in and provide travelers with unique experiences. One example is Moxie Hotels by Marriott as an example. So the most successful hospitality and travel companies are going to create unique experiences for their guests by combining all three of these elements: quality products, quality service, and unique settings. They need to deliver on all three of these to ensure the guest has the best experience. If they provide quality products in a unique setting, but deliver poor service, guests are going to be disappointed. You and I will be disappointed. They need to combine all three to allow travelers to have a unique experience and to have a memorable experience and want to come back again. Thanks for joining me today for this discussion of travel experiences. We look forward to traveling again in the near future. When we do, we want to have the best experiences possible. I encourage you to look for those travel companies and those travel experiences that combine these three elements: product, service, and environment, to have an exciting and memorable travel experience. Happy travels, and I look forward to your discussion about this topic.
And Marriott get their guests to trust them in coming back and that it's safe for them to return for travel?
That's a good question, Zach. And you're right. Safe is the number one term. And to be honest, I think that the industry did a great job, especially early on, recognizing that that was going to be an issue. And so setting standards, if you go to the American Hotel Lodging Association, you go to National Restaurant Association, they've already set standards for safety and for creating sanitary and safe work experience places for guests in restaurants and hotels. So they've already done a really good job of that. That's one thing. Number two, we need to communicate it to guests. Let them know that we're doing this. Let them know that our restaurants and our hotels are safe, whether it's through signage or whether it's through actually showing them that we're doing something, right? That we're cleaning and sanitizing constantly and making sure that the service area is safe. And following the CDC guidelines and those requirements. Those are certainly things that we need to do. I think that the other half of that question is, and I think it makes this time a really, really interesting time in hospitality and tourism, and that is, and it means exciting opportunities in the future, I think, and that is that the industry has had to be creative. We've had to be innovative. We've had to solve these problems out of necessity, right? But I think that creativity and that innovation is going to serve us well down the road also. And also, as we think about these exciting and interesting hospitality and tourism experiences, we're living in a really creative time in the hospitality and tourism industry, and that's exciting. And that for students going into the industry, that's interesting and exciting. And as travelers traveling in the industry, it's also very interesting. So, but you're right. Bottom line, making sure that we're following the rules and letting people know, being visible about it in a hospitable and hospitality way. It's a good question. It's an interesting one, and it is a challenge.
So, hey, Dr. Becker, I have a question to you. So, after the COVID-19 pandemic, do you think demand is going to skyrocket?
It's going to be a gradual. It's going to be a gradual increase, Adam. You and I, as leisure travelers, we're going to probably hit the road first, and we already see that happening. People are wanting to travel, and in many cases, folks refer to it as pent-up travel desire. We've not spent money on travel over the last year, and so we've saved up our pennies to go on travel, and we want to. We want to go visit family. We want to visit friends. We want to go on vacation, and so there's going to be that leisure travel is going to increase first. Then it's going to take a little bit longer for meetings, conventions, conferences, and group travel to come back. That that's probably going to be one of the last groups to come back. Groups like, maybe family vacations or wedding receptions, those types of groups, they're probably going to start coming back sooner than the business meetings come back, because folks want to get married, right? And folks want to have a nice reception and get their family together. And so that'll be kind of the second one. Then the meetings in larger businesses and conventions and trade shows will be one of the last. So it's going to be an uphill climb. It's going to be an gradual uphill growth. Maybe some spikes in the process, but by and large, it's not going to be shot out of a rocket or shot out of a cannon. It'll be kind of more gradual. That's my take anyway.
Okay, we have a couple questions in the chat. First of all, what about the price of gas and travel following the pandemic? I mean, we've seen gas prices rise.
We have seen gas prices rise, and I think one of the things that we even found last summer was the travel that did stay, and realized that gas prices were lower last summer, but folks decided to do day trips or drive-to trips. That was the type of travel that was able to survive, if you will, the early part of the pandemic. I think that we're going to still see that regardless of the price. Folks are going to RV. They're going to want to drive. They may feel more comfortable driving than they would in terms of getting into an airplane or using mass transportation. And so I really do think that folks are still going to travel by car, and it's still going to be a popular way. It's interesting, actually, they asked the question. 12 years ago, I took my family after our kids graduated from high school and college. We went on a Western trip, and I vividly recall this. It was the summer of 2008, and the dollar per gallon for gas was $4.65 a gallon outside of the Grand Canyon. I think gas prices affect folks a little bit, but we're not at the 465 rate right now. So 299 is just not too bad, all things considered.
That's very true. So another question is, do hospitality management students travel as part of their education at York? Obviously pre-COVID.
Well, yeah, we have been building those types of opportunities for our students. In the last 2 years, we've developed two new semester abroad programs, one in Tuscany, Italy, and the other one in Barcelona, Spain. We have one in Kufstein, Austria. We also have short-term travel abroad programs as well, one studying cuisine and culture that travels to Italy, to Spain. And so there are a number of different opportunities. Students can also take science classes that go to Costa Rica. And so there are lots of different travel experiences. They're just there, depending on what students want to do and what they can afford. There are a number of exciting opportunities. And to me, traveling internationally really helps me get a perspective on our own industry. It helps me understand why and how we do things, and gives me just that new perspective that helps me understand the industry better.
Great. You mentioned Costa Rica, and last week we had a Spartan Speaks, and the topic was clean energy, and Costa Rica came up as the country with the smallest carbon footprint, one of the cleanest. So maybe we can combine these two majors and take a lot more students study abroad, hospitality and bio and environment.
Well, and ecotourism is actually a form of tourism. Folks seek that out. So it again is learn, providing up people with opportunities to learn. That's engaging, that's interesting. Now I'm taking away more than just rest and relaxation. I'm taking away knowledge and an experience that really lasts a lifetime.
Right. Right. I want to maybe go back to COVID a little bit. And Dr. Becker, do you see any of the, the regulations, the rules, the policies that the tourism industry has put in place due to COVID, like staying forever, like maybe becoming things that they'll use or put into place permanently?
It's a good question, because meeting the way we are right now is something that, I think we have gotten to a tipping point where folks obviously are comfortable with this form of meeting. And so maybe in the future meetings will be hybrid, right? We will have folks both on site. And so we might have to get corporations and companies might have to bring people together in a single place, but they also might bring people in electronically and feel more comfortable with that. We've had this technology for a long time. Just folks never really got to that point where they were like, oh yeah, gee, we can do that. We feel comfortable doing that, or that might be a preferred way of doing it. So I think this technology is definitely going to impact meetings, and it's going to continue to evolve, and hospitality operators are going to have to figure out how can we maximize our opportunities using the technology as well. So certainly technology, I think, is one of those. Going back to the safety and safety precautions, I don't think we're always concerned with that. We've always been concerned with that. That's, as in the hospitality and tourism industry, that's what we do. We take care of people. We feed them. We provide them with shelter, and those are fundamentals. Those are basic. And so, paying attention to and taking care of the safety and sanitation aspects, I don't think that's going to go away either, and it's going to change the way that we do things. Certainly, that's going to keep going down the road. Purchasing food, the idea of curbside, it seemed like curbside was kind of going downhill a little bit, where folks just weren't really all that into curbside, but these days, millennials and Gen Z maybe they prefer to get their food curbside and take it to go, order it on the computer using technology to order. These things we're going to be hardwired with these things. They're going to be commonplace. And those are going to continue. So it's a really good question. So the innovations that we have made, they're probably not just going to be temporary. They're going to be a part of the industry going down the road. Absolutely.
Okay. Julia has a question. How long do you think it will take for the hospitality industry to be where it was before the pandemic?
I would say the earliest 22, probably somewhere in 23. To be honest, and that's a really high bar, Julia, because quite frankly, the hospitality industry was right up here, right? We were doing great. We were on top of the mountain, and that was really, really awesome. It was hard to imagine getting any bigger. And in fact, the reality was the hotel industry was in a huge growth spurt as well. The number of new hotels going up, and that the good news is they're going to be going online. But it'll to get way back to that point, I would say at least 22 to 23, somewhere in that neighborhood. About the time you graduate.
Okay. Who else has a question?
I think Zach raised his hand. Zach, did you raise your hand?
I do. So I don't know how do you feel about this? But like, there's virtual reality. So how could you take something in like virtual reality and popular tourist locations? Let's say the Grand Canyon, and they like to help make up for this revenue. How could they do their best to provide a virtual reality experience in, let's say, I mean, you could even say a Hershey Park, for example, like you're riding the ride at Hershey Park in this virtual reality setting. Do you think there's a way that they could charge for that and provide that service?
It's a really interesting question, Zach, and it's not a new one, and I think you're right. We're getting to that point in that maybe the changes that we've been experiencing might force this a little bit more quickly upon us. But let me answer the question this way, and I'm not sure if I do have an answer for you because it's a tough one. But I think that as an industry, we've been asking ourselves, how can we use virtual reality? How can we harness this technology? And so I would turn the question back on you, going out in the industry as a future leader. How can we harness this technology? How can we use this technology to, whether it means making our experiences better, augmenting the experiences that we provide our guests, or how can we use it to in the marketing process to get folks interested and excited about it? If I'm a sales director, maybe I use virtual reality to give them a tour of my hotel or my resort. The technology is there, the technology is available. So how can we harness this technology? If we don't, somebody is going to, right? And so we need to be creative. We need to be innovative. We can't assume that it's going to go back to status quo. We need to continue to be innovative and creative and determine and figure out how to use the technologies that are available for us. If not, somebody like Airbnb or Uber is going to come by and disrupt the industry again from the other side using that type of technology and say, you don't need to go to Hershey Park. We've got it here on the headset, right? So, so we're constantly going to be challenged by, and that's why, again, going back to the presentation, creating these experiences, these memorable experiences, we have to believe that there's no substitute. They need to be. We are in competition with these disruptors who are going to offer alternatives. Airbnb is a good example of it. And there's a debate whether they're part of the industry or not a part of the industry. But the fact of the matter is, hotels are in competition with Airbnb, and Airbnb is creating those experiences we were just talking about. They're local, they're unique, they're in a neighborhood. People are engaged. They're in that. They're immersed in that experience. They're immersed in that neighborhood. And if you ever watch any of the commercials on television, they're not selling a roof over the head. They're selling an experience. They're selling memories. That's what they're selling. All right. And so we need to be prepared. It's a really good question. We need to be prepared to deal with these new technologies and harness them before somebody else does.
So I kind of have a question. It's kind of like Zach's, but a little different. So do you think eventually in the future, like guests will end up checking themselves into a hotel, or like machines will kind of take place of line level workers?
I think we're seeing that already, and I think that may be one of the disruptions that Sue Ann was talking about too, or some of the technologies, some of the things that may continue on after the pandemic, and that is the use of technology, whether it's checking people in or providing services for guests. We saw that again before the current era that we're in, and I think that we're going to continue to see operators wanting to find more ways to apply technology to provide guest services. And yes, and Adam, yes, I think that that might take away some service positions, but I think it's going to open up other service positions. It's going to open up other opportunities for folks. And so we need to be nimble. We need to be ready to change. We need to be able to adapt and have people with the skills and the ability to do the other jobs that are necessary, like the technology jobs, managing the technology, managing the social media, doing all these new tasks that, let's be honest, 20 years ago didn't exist.
Dr. Becker, just to kind of add on to what you're saying, to kind of answer both Zach and Adam's questions. Last summer when we did our work experience and we were looking into different sectors of the hospitality industry, I was studying events and meetings and what they were doing in that section of our industry.
Right.
And they actually were talking about different technology opportunities that they had. And they were talking about, at least for like the virtual reality type situation, they were talking about trade shows and figuring out a way to like go into the booth like virtually where people would be set up with their products. So that was like one thing I saw about that. It's not necessarily going on in amusement park, although there's definitely POVs on YouTube for all of Hershey Park, not gonna lie. And then another thing that I saw was, so one of the big issues with your big events is a lot of times when you're going to enter, there's huge lines where you got to go to the table to say that you registered or show your ticket. So they were talking about in some of the articles that I was looking at was like a digital like app or something like that to tell you like what the line's at now, to kind of give you an idea of how many people are in the queue, when you can go up, when you can log in. So I think we're definitely going to see things like that as well.
Yeah, and another those are good examples, Lizzie. Thank you. And another example of how technologies that we're using to make meetings and trade shows and events more engaging is technologies that can be used to help connect attendees. So if you have an interest in something and somebody else is attending that trade show or that conference, using those almost like a mini social media at a conference where I can connect with others who have the same interests that I have, who have the same questions that I have, who want to meet each other and network with each other. And these are opportunities that maybe we didn't have before without that technology. And so, and so you and I can be thinking of those technologies, but, as hospitality operators, that we need to be finding those technologies that can help our guests get the most out of it. So if I'm going to send somebody to Las Vegas, we need to maximize that experience. We need to maximize business needs to maximize the return on investment in sending somebody there. And so how are we as operators going to do that? How can we give them their money's worth?
I did want to let everyone know that Jennifer had made a suggestion in the chat to look up Yotel. Am I saying it right? Yotel in New York City. Robots take your luggage, everything is self-serve. So interesting.
They tried that in Japan. They had a hotel that was run entirely by robots. Customers hated it, so they had to fire them all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's my age, but I do, I enjoy a fair amount of self-service, but if I have a question, if I'm not familiar, I like a person to talk to. I like a concierge, I like a front desk manager.
Yeah, and so that's where knowing your target market, knowing your demographics are really, really important, right? Because to be honest, the baby boomers are going to be around for a while, and Gen X is going to be around for a long time, and they're going to travel. They're still going to travel, and they're going to have different needs and interests and want to engage different ways. And so, again, that's where the hospitality industry needs to be able to serve folks in different ways. And, some of the old personal touch isn't necessarily going to go away right away. People still demand it. People are still going to want it. I shouldn't say this. We went to a restaurant on Saturday night, and I did it old school. I walked in and I ordered my food, and I got it sooner, and I walked out sooner than the folks who ordered it online and were standing in line waiting because they use their computer.
Yeah.
I didn't name any names. I'm just saying.
Who has the next question? Anyone?
This was a great conversation. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
On the VR part, do you think that could, I mean, personally, I don't think you can ever replace a physically going to the place. Like, you can't replace VR. You can't replace Vegas with VR Vegas. Like, there's just certain places you have to go to get the full experience, I would think.
Yeah.
Well,
That
that's
said,
the thing, though, is that nothing can replace going. No VR experience could replace going to the actual thing.
yeah, that said, technology is constantly on the march. Okay. And in your own lifetime, you've seen how technology is dramatically grown and improved. And just imagine in Dr. Hughes' lifetime or my lifetime and see how technology has changed. The technology will get better, Zach. And so you're right. I have to agree with you. I'd rather go to Europe than watch it on a video or watch it in a headset, and meet the people, and interact with the people. And that really is where we have the edge, where we can be engaging, where we can permit people to taste the wine and eat the food and to touch the forum in Rome and experience it firsthand. There is no technology that can replace that right now. Not yet.
So I have another question. Do you think there is such thing as too much technology? Like kind of technology being more of a blight or like a kind of destructive opposed to you know what I mean.
I do get what you mean. That has been the hospitality and tourism industry has been looking for years to see how we can balance so that we can be both high tech and high touch. All right. We want to be able to use technology to make the guest experience as positive as possible, but we also want to be high touch where, as Sue Ann said, we want to be able to give that personal experience. All right. And so it's a matter of balance to a certain extent. And that's really an important thing. There may be a time. That said, I think that, your generation was born with technology in your hands. And so you're so much more comfortable with it than other generations are. And so you're going to have a higher tolerance for technology. You're going to be more welcoming to technology than older generations are. And so it's a tough question. I don't have an answer for it, and I don't think anybody does, but I think that, that it is a question that we need to be aware of. And your experience, Adam, at Hilton, they give folks the choice. Check in with a human being, check in with your app, check in on a computer.
I was actually going to bring that up, the e-check-in.
You have a choice. And right now, again, that also is part of our culture. We have, in this day and age, we have choices. And so we're providing guests with those choices, whether they're high tech or high touch.
Great. I think we have time for maybe just one more question. Anyone?
Based on technology safety, then, I know in one of our classes we talked about it. I can't remember if it was with you or Dr. Scarcelli, but what would you say then about electronic room keys and safety in regards of those, because you're putting a lot of trust into your computer systems then, and that's another, as we've been talking about in class as well, guest safety and wanting to ensure that they feel safe, so that way we don't deal with any lawsuits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we've come a long way in terms of hotel room security, and that really is, you're right, that's fundamental. We need to provide that base of guest safety and security, especially when it comes to the guest room. Technology has come a long way, and what we have today is so much better than the old metal key. Again, Dr. Hughes will laugh when I suggest the old hotels and motels, we actually put a tag on the key that said where the key belonged to and the room number. It was like the only thing we didn't put on there was an invitation to come rip me off when you found the lost key, right? It was insane. All right, and so we learned our lessons, and we got really good with different technologies between that metal key with the tag. We came up with key cards, mechanical key cards, magnetic stripe key cards, radio frequency ID key cards, and now we have your cell phone is your room key. And so I think that we've come a long way. I think it's so much more secure than it used to be. I think the upsides of where we are so much better and so much stronger than the downsides of where we are using that technology, that that's a really good thing. And we've really made great advancements in that area. Absolutely.
Great.
Lots of good questions.
Yep, very good. I'll give it one more. Anyone? Taylor?
So I was thinking with how COVID shut down a lot of like restaurants and places, do you think that COVID has provided like a trial by fire and like survival of the fittest? Like, the hospitality industry will be better off in the long run. They just
Yeah, I think there was quite a bit of that, and I think there was a survival of the fittest, and to be honest, there are going to be hotels that don't reopen. There are going to be restaurants that don't reopen. There were some safety nets. There were some safety nets that were provided to the industry to help many survive. Those who weren't innovative, those who didn't figure out how to pivot from fully indoors to curbside and to go and outdoor dining, there's a very good chance that many of those, those won't be able to make it. And so the strong will survive. And but it also, it's always been an industry of innovation. It's always been an industry of entrepreneurs, folks looking for opportunities and niches within the industry, and it will always be that. And because there's as much as Zach wants to push virtual reality on us, I'm not sure how I can go out and eat a nice dinner and drink a bottle of wine if virtually. I need to kind of do that personally. So there are there are certain human experiences that we can't necessarily do virtually, right? And or enjoy to our utmost. Enjoy it with our family, And again, Zoom and these type technologies are bringing folks together in different ways. But I think we've also found the human spirit has wanted us to get together. It's the human touch. It's the ability to meet face to face and shake hands and look people in the eye. Zoom can help us do certain things. It's a poor substitute for face to face at the very end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. So the lesson is use your phone to make the reservation and then put your phone down and talk to your family.
Imagine that.
Spoken from the baby boomer.
Yes.
Okay. we are going to wrap it up for this evening. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Becker, for such great information. And I think most of you know how to reach Dr. Becker if you have any other questions. But most of our emails are our first initial and our last name. Dr. Becker, do you have a number? Are you?
Nope, it's fbecker@ycp.edu. And so if there are any questions about the hospitality management program or hospitality careers, happy to answer those questions and help folks along the way.
All right. Thank you so much. We hope that you'll check out the schedule. And we hope to see some of your faces at some of our next Spartan Speaks.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for being here and lots of great questions.
Have a nice evening.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Professor
you.
Becker.
Good night.